Although I have suggested in the past that some old calendars clergy are narcissists and or psychopaths, I'm going to read a section in a book I'm presently reading. It's called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Psychology, 4th edition. And I'm going to quote page 263 in a moment. But before I get to that, let me just say a few words about this Bishop Sergius Black. I've already reported what he did to me and what he did to 3 families, and someone in Hakna emailed me and told me that if you ever question Bishop Sergius, he will never assist you again. And this is demonstrative of a person who is extremely sensitive when his ego is questioned. He takes it personally, and this is indicative of narcissism. I think that hierarchical structures where you have bishops, priests in a religion attract these type of people, or it ironically creates these kind of people when they're in an environment where fellow human beings are constantly bowing before them, practically worshiping them, kissing their hands, calling them terms like Father, Your Eminence, and Your Grace. I think it can create narcissistic type people. So when an outsider approaches them and questions them on something, their egos can't handle it. And here's the relevant section, page 263. It says, a person with narcissistic personality disorder, on the other hand, has a grandiose sense of self-importance, a preoccupation with fantasies of success or power, and a constant need for attention and admiration. He might, quote, overreact, end quote, to the mildest criticism, defeat, or rejection. In addition, he's likely to have an unrealistic sense of entitlement and a limited ability to empathize with others. This lack of empathy, tendency to exploit others, and lack of insight almost always results in serious relationship problems. This is not a person who is merely selfish. He generally can't relate to others. End quote. I want to say a few words on this. The constant need for attention and admiration. Someone who used to know Bishop Sergius personally told me that Bishop Sergius likes to be the center of attention, so this also supports my belief he's a narcissist. And also it says here, this lack of empathy. Bishop Sergius lacked empathy with regard to the predicament I was in. I was a GOC Christian pointed to his church, not excommunicated. He selfishly pushed me out. He totally disregarded the fact that I was a struggling GOC Christian with no parish to attend. He also totally ignored the fact that I had related to him major depressive illness and anxiety problems. Pure lack of empathy and total selfishness. On page 264, it says that, let me see here, narcissistic PD, narcissistic personality disorder, self-absorbed, needs to be constantly admired, lack of empathy with others, arrogant. And then antisocial personality disorder, disregard for the rights of others. Well, he disregarded my right to attend the only GOC parish I had. That's antisocial disorder, personality disorder. And as I just quoted, narcissistic personality disorder, lack of empathy with others, arrogant. So I think some of these men are arrogant. I've already talked about Archbishop Chrysostomos of the Synod in Resistance. I called several years ago and asked questions about orthodoxy. And he said, quote, I have a PhD from Princeton and 4 other degrees. I don't have the time to talk with someone who's not even a high school graduate, end quote. That is the most arrogant thing coming from any religious figure I've ever heard in my life. It is totally unchristian, totally selfish, totally narcissistic, and wrong from a biblical Christian standpoint. So I think some of these men are narcissists, and these men need spiritual treatment themselves. They're in no position to be guiding others. And that's all. I thank you for listening. There's a little bit more information below in the description box. I want to say a few more words here. This self-love, spiritual incompetence, and narcissism is not just a modern phenomenon, people. It's always existed in Christianity. Even Evagrius of Pontus, who, according to Father Francis Tiso, a Roman Catholic priest and scholar, produced some of the most profound spiritual teachings in human history, originally struggled with the passions and self-love. I read recently how Evagrius, he liked to walk down the city with his clerical attire, garments, and to be looked at by other people. And this is altogether the world of the passions. We're all plagued with the passions. Evagrius later became sanctified to a significant degree, and he wrote very insightful spiritual treasures for our benefit. But he also struggled with passions, and we all have to overcome the passions. Narcissism is a passion that needs to be overcome and conquered. And in Christianity, you need to understand, Bishop Sergius Black and others, that in Christianity, the other person is always more important than yourself. Their needs, their salvation, their spiritual, physical, and psychological well-being are always more important than your own. Your brother, your neighbor, and your stranger, according to biblical teaching, is always more important than yourself. You always want to put other people before yourself, not your ego. Your ego needs to be crushed. See, the way we treat others is the way we're treating God, is the way we view God. So I have retaliated here because of injustice that was committed against me. It's not because I'm trying to be a mean person or anything. It's injustice that was committed against me. These people need to be exposed for the frauds they are. So the way you treat others is the way you're treating God. And one elder said, I don't remember his name, but he said, the extent to which we love others is the extent to which we love God. If you don't love your fellow man, Bishop Sergius, if you don't put strangers, neighbors, people outside your ethnic group before yourself, then you don't truly love God. Christ says in Matthew 25, at the judgment at the end of the world, I was an hungry and you gave me no meat. Thirsty, you gave me no drink. A stranger, and you took me not in. Sick and in prison, and you visited me not. See, so this is the way God will treat you at the judgment. And I was hungry. Me personally, I was hungry for the sacraments. I was thirsty for the blood of Christ, and you pushed me away. And unfortunately, Christ will push you away at the last, or at your judgment. He will push you away, because the way you treated me and other people, Bishop Sergius, is the way Christ will treat you at the judgment. You still have time to repent. If you repent, Bishop Sergius, I will accept you and embrace you with love and open arms, but you need to humble yourself, admit wrongdoing, and repent. Thank you for listening.